Department of Orthopedic Surgery and the Emory Musculoskeletal Center. It's important when you're considering a fellowship, not only to look at the specific subspecialty division that you're thinking about joining for a year, but also to look at the overall department and the infrastructure and the energy and the stability and the trajectory that your division is going to be part of. So for the next few minutes, what I'd like to do is give you an overview and an introduction to the Emory Department of Orthopedics. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and would like you to confirm that you're able to see the slides in the full size without anything cut off. Great. Well, what I'd like to do is provide an overview of our facilities, our trajectory, and our momentum. Well, in addition to the Emory Healthcare facilities, we have a number of affiliates which are critical to the overall program. First is Grady Memorial Hospital. And as some of you may be aware, this is a level 1 trauma center and is either the second or third busiest trauma service in the United States. And we've been growing our footprint at Grady and the quality and depth of our faculty, and a portion of most of our fellowships involves work at Grady. In addition, the Atlanta Veterans Affairs Medical Center is part of our overall program, and it's one of the more active research VAs, as well as an active clinical program. And some of our fellowships also have some material that is either done there or is outsourced from the VA to our program. Right across from our home base is a brand new children's hospital, which will be completed in 2024. And this is a $2 billion project, which is moving the children's hospital from Emory's main campus off campus to right across from where the Musculoskeletal Center home lies. And then our northern suburb, Emory Johns Creek Hospital, is doing an addition of the medical office building. These 2 new floors at the top are going to be part of orthopedics and is one of our fastest growing regional offices. And then in addition, Emory Decatur Hospital, one of the newer additions to the Emory system, also has some activity for a number of the orthopedic services. Well, to summarize what's happened over the past 3 decades, it would really have to be described as sustained growth. And just to pick a couple of arbitrary points in time, 1990 to 2020, 30 years apart, let me give you a few factoids about Emory Orthopedics over that time period. Our clinical faculty have grown from 15 in 1990 to 90 faculty in 2020, and that number is probably just north of 100 as we stand today. Our research faculty have grown from 1 to 12. Our clinical sites and regional offices have grown from 2 to 11, and our patient visits have grown from 20,000 to over 200,000, with procedures growing from 3,000 to 20,000. In addition, we have tremendous bench depth in each of the subspecialties, including the one that you're here looking at today. We also have a unique aspect of our musculoskeletal center that integrates in a number of areas the multiple disciplines that take care of these patients. So for example, in spine, we integrate physical medicine rehabilitation, occupational medicine, anesthesia, pain, neurosurgery spine, and orthopedic spine. And at upper extremity, we integrate orthopedic surgery, hand surgery, plastic surgery, hand surgery, and also the ability to do brachial plexus work and flaps. Now, in terms of our facilities, it sort of parallels the story of our last 3 decades. When I first got to Emory, our humble beginnings were on main campus, which was not very accessible for patients, in the main Emory Clinic building with the blue awning, where we had about 10,000 square feet of clinic space, and we did not have an x-ray machine in the department. This is only 1990, 30 years ago. In 1991, we ventured off campus about 2 miles into a strip mall. And the important part of this move was, although we only had 19,000 square feet, building that was patient friendly, and we began to live and learn how to grow off of Emory's main campus. The growth there led in 2004 to us building our first musculoskeletal center on the major north-south highway that goes right through the center of Atlanta. This 95,000 square foot building was a one-stop shop. It had an ambulatory surgery center, physical therapy, cafeteria, advanced imaging, and it really allowed us to improve the overall patient experience. It was more conveniently located, and as a result of that, we experienced unprecedented growth. Now, that led in 2008 to the opening of our Emory University Orthopedics and Spine Hospital. And this is a freestanding hospital that's fully part of Emory, where we do inpatient joint replacement, overnight stay orthopedic surgery, and our spine surgery. It has 65 beds, ICUs, currently 9 operating rooms, is soon expanding to 11, a dedicated anesthesia staff, hospital medicine that takes care of the sick patients, and it's essentially a very efficient learning, teaching, and care environment for orthopedic patients. Now, we've also, as a result of that growth, earned the trust of a number of professional sports teams that's also helped us improve our facilities. In 2017, we opened the Emory Sports Medicine Complex, which contains a portion of our Sports Medicine Center of physical therapy, sports performance measurement, in partnership with the NBA team, the Atlanta Hawks. And in fact, it's conjoined with the air practice facility. And as our patients check in to our Sports Medicine Center, they're actually 35,000 square feet of medical space. And then just last year, we did something similar with the Atlanta Falcons, about 30 minutes north of the city. And we built another office at their outdoor practice facility, which is conjoined with their indoor practice facility barn. And this 29,000 square foot facility is our northernmost regional office. But interestingly enough, and importantly, it houses a special research function. And the ground floor of this is a sports performance and research center where we have a team of PhDs and engineers with funding from professional football leagues, foundations, and NIH, and one of the most advanced built-in force plates, and the entire space is decked out with motion capture cameras of several different types. And in addition to this, we have the ability to do 3T functional MRI, looking at brain uptake and metabolism at the same time that people are having different joints stimulated in the scanner with real-time brain measurements, looking at proprioception and some other very unique things that we can do related to chronic pain and the wiring of the brain. In addition, we have the capability for virtual reality and augmented reality when it comes to looking at different motions and training the body, and a whole team that's able to do this in that lab. In addition, we've earned the trust of the Atlanta Braves, and so we're the official team healthcare provider for most all of the professional sports teams in Atlanta, which has been a development over the last 6 years. And of course, as you know, we recently made the front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution with our Emory Healthcare bus that was part of the Victory Parade. I was lucky enough to be able to ride on that bus as we drove the trophy into Truist Park and the Battery, and unexpectedly got to actually take that picture. Now, over the last 3 decades, we've grown from one central location, inconveniently located on our main campus, to now a central location on the major north-south artery, and then 11 regional offices. Now, the point of showing this is not to suggest that fellows are driving around to all of these purple dots, but more to suggest that we have a much larger feeder system sending the subspecialty patients into the central area that allows us to grow our volume. And that's been how we've been able to develop and grow all of our fellowships so that there's more than enough clinical material for both our residents and our fellows. So in summary, Emory Orthopedics has experienced 3 decades of sustained and unprecedented growth. We've been continuously raising our regional and national profile. We've been working and successful at attracting and, most importantly, retaining the best talent that's out there. And that doesn't only mean residents and fellows, but most importantly, our physician attendings, our PhD researchers, but also our nurses, our nurse practitioners, our PAs, our athletic trainers, our administrative support team. The quality of these individuals significantly impacts patient care and also your experience as a fellow. And we've been doing this with an increased focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Now, one of the most exciting milestones for us occurred shortly before the pandemic when we broke ground on the Emory Musculoskeletal Institute. What I'd like to do is show you a short clip from our recent opening ceremonies, which will give you a little bit of feel for the building, which is our main hub for clinical and academic and teaching.
Emory and Brookhaven communities recently celebrated the grand opening of the Emory Musculoskeletal Institute.
In this magnificent facility, the newest addition to Emory's Executive Park Health Innovation District, which we are so proud of, is an embodiment of our commitment to excellence, eminence, and service, a beacon for hope and healing.
The building will not only serve as a top-tier orthopedic clinic, but also a state-of-the-art research facility.
At Emory, as you know, many of our physicians are also researchers and educators. They not only teach the next generation of doctors and surgeons, but they also expand our body of knowledge for current healthcare providers.
In October of 2019, Emory broke ground on this site for a promise of better things to come.
It was about 2 years ago we gathered right here to kick off the construction on this 180,000 square foot world-class musculoskeletal building. A lot has happened in the world since then, and we are so thankful for the opportunity to all be here again in person to celebrate the grand opening of the Emory Musculoskeletal Institute. This musculoskeletal building upholds our motto, "Go where the players go." And as the most trusted orthopedic group in Atlanta, we are truly honored to be the official sports medicine and team healthcare provider for our partners, the Atlanta Hawks, Braves, Falcon, Dream, along with over 40 other collegiate, high school, youth, and adult teams and programs.
So when you watch TV tomorrow night, hopefully cheer on the Braves. I hope you'll think also about what Emory's meant to getting the Braves on that field.
We've always said as an organization, Arthur has a core value that you should always continuously innovate. I'm not sure we can have a better partner when it comes to that core value and partnering with a partner like Emory, because that's what Emory does and that's what this shows.
Emory's been part of Atlanta, and Emory has been part of the Hawks. The Emory doctors sit in our draft room and help us pick our future talent, and their medical opinion means so much.
Today we have set a new bar, and I have no doubt that this is the top musculoskeletal clinical and research space in the country, which will enable us to continue attracting and retaining the best faculty, staff, trainees, and researchers that exist. And that means extraordinary patient care.
Dreams really do come true. And when sports and Emory shake hands in partnership, miracles happen. And the latest one is right there behind me.
So what I'd like to do is spend a little time showing you what the top floor of this new building entails. Now we have a 15,000 square foot research laboratory that our residents and our fellowship programs can participate in any kind of bench or translational research of their interest. In addition, we have a histology lab that allows us all the latest equipment and fine microscopes to be able to proceed to looking at tissues at the highest level. We have biomechanical testing that enables us to do large and small testing and the staff to make all the widgets for that. We have a molecular imaging core center with very advanced microscopy, allowing us to do all sorts of things, including looking at laser capture to see groups of genes and individual cell gene expression. And we have a zebrafish facility where we can use the genetic variation which we can make in zebrafish to look at skeletal abnormalities, test small molecules and drug development in a much more efficient platform than transgenic mice. All this opened this past September, 180,000 square feet overall, 6 ambulatory surgery rooms, 6 physiatry or spine injection procedure rooms, advanced scanning and equipment, and a host of other things throughout the building. So in summary, we are really excited with the facilities, the people, the trajectory, and the momentum of Emory Orthopedics and the new Musculoskeletal Center. We think that, this division is one of the fastest growing and most impressive of our 7 or 8 divisions. I hope you enjoyed learning about the overall platform we have at Emory Orthopedics, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot more about the particular fellowship today. And again, thank you so much for joining us and spending a little bit of time with us today here in Emory Orthopedics. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of the interview process.
Okay, great. So I thought the next best thing after hearing a little bit of our overview as far as our locations and where we've been and where we've come from would be just to give you a brief overview of our fellowship. Dr. Wagner is going to follow after me and will give you some ideas about some of the rotations and some more in-depth knowledge. But first and foremost, I just want to give him credit for our fellowship website. He's put a lot of effort into this, and I would encourage each and every one of you to go to our website, check out all the different pages and tabs, and this will have a lot of the questions that may arise as you're looking into our fellowship and when you're seeking out what you're looking for, okay? In regards to our upper extremity fellowship, we have this idea of an upper extremity philosophy of what we would want. And so when we built the fellowship, this is what we were thinking. We wanted a comprehensive clinical fellowship, and Emory met this because we have over 10,000 patient encounters and 4,000 surgeries. We're very education oriented, and we've essentially attracted and recruited some of the expert leaders in complex trauma, nerve repair, pediatrics, wrist, shoulder, and elbow reconstruction. We've also added a very unique experience to include research and investigation, as well as an international elective, which Dr. Wagner will go into as well, detailing all the various sites that have agreed to house any of our fellows should they choose. In addition, we've tried to create the most comprehensive fellowship that we could think of. Essentially, we have our level 1 trauma center in Grady, where you'll see replantations, flaps, mangled extremities, and some complex upper extremity, shoulder, and elbow trauma. In addition, we've partnered with our colleagues at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta and Dr. Pelchovich and Dr. Templeton, where you'll get to see some congenital hand, brachial plexus, spasticity, and tetraplegia. In addition, both with Dr. Wagner and myself, you'll get to see some complex shoulder and elbow surgeries, ranging anywhere from tendon transfers, shoulder and elbow arthroscopy, and as well as arthroplasty, and then some small joint arthroplasty. We've also gone out and hired a world expert in biomechanical engineering, as well as wrist mechanics with Dr. Nina Sue, and you'll hear from her as well. Additionally, we've really tried to increase the number of nerve reconstruction and brachial plexus at our level 1 trauma center, and Dr. Zielinski, who you'll hopefully get a chance to meet today, has really spearheaded our brachial plexus team. Additionally, with most fellowships, we've really tried to still keep the core values of bread and butter orthopedics and plastic surgery with tendon, nerve, bone, and elective reconstruction of the hand and wrist. As far as education is concerned, our fellowship has a strong foundation. When you first start out, we like to have an initial week-long flap, arthroscopy, and microsurgery course, and that will be housed in our new Musculoskeletal Institute up in our biomechanics and skills laboratory. In addition, we have several labs throughout each week or conferences, starting off with our research conference on Monday morning, having our weekly didactics conference Monday afternoon with a host of guest speakers, which you'll also get to see that what we have lined up for the rest of the year. Wednesday morning complex case conferences, and then every third Wednesday of the month, our journal club. Additionally, we have monthly cadaveric anatomical dissections. We have multiple specimens upstairs in our lab that allow us to essentially go through a various number of dissections with the fellows with almost one-on-one attending detail. Lastly, what we've tried to do, although COVID has impacted to some extent, is quarterly citywide journal clubs, industry-sponsored cadaveric technique labs, which we had one yesterday, and then SAE question reviews as well. Some of the unique opportunities that I've already touched upon are our ability to offer some complex shoulder and elbow surgery, which you may not typically find in the average hand fellowship. Additionally, we've gone to extraordinary lengths to provide an international elective for those that choose, and get a chance to really broaden your horizon and see how other places around the world do similar types of surgery, but may think about it in a different way and approach it from a different style. Bottom right is just when we had traveling fellows rotate through here at Emory, and it really is a testament to having people from around the world come see how we do it, and vice versa. Some of the rotations, which this is really what you want to see, is we've really gone above and beyond to make sure that you get all breadths of the upper extremity. So we start off with 6 months of nerve, shoulder, elbow, and some time with me, and that would be at the Emory Musculoskeletal Institute with our core faculty, which I'll go in and introduce, as well as several months at Grady, where you get the trauma, the flaps, and the replants. Typically, call throughout the year would be 1 day of call a week on a weekday, and then 1 weekend call a month. Additionally, we typically ask the fellows to be available for any microvascular cases that may come in throughout the month so that you get a nice exposure to replants and other microvascular techniques. We have a 1-month rotation with our children's partners. And yet again, we also recommend that you spend additional time with them, assuming it permits. That way you can get to see enough cases when they do arise. And then as mentioned, you get a 1-month international elective where essentially Emory will cover the cost of you going anywhere in the world to train and learn from world experts. And then certainly last but not least, which is also a unique aspect of our program, is a 2-month rotation with our affiliates out in the community that give a nice private practice community tertiary referral setting. And these are with some very well-known hand individuals from the country. And I think so far it's been quite good. When you look at our core academic faculty, these are the 9 surgeons that really make up our foundation. And it's a combination of both plastic surgeons and orthopedic surgeons. Dr. Sue is in the top left, Dr. Dempsey in the middle, Dr. Clifton Meals top right, and then Dr. Zelensky as well. And then on the bottom, you'll see Dr. Robert Fang, Dr. Bill Mouse, Paul Garib, and last but certainly not least, Dr. Eric Wagner. And hopefully you'll get a chance to talk with all of them today and get to learn a little bit about them, and they can tell you a little bit about our program. Some of our affiliate faculty, which we've previously mentioned, who you will also get a chance to meet, Dr. Brian Sermon and Dr. John Seiler from the Georgia Hand, Shoulder, and Elbow practice, and then Dr. Erica Templeton and Alan Pelchovich from our partners at CHOA. Unfortunately, Dr. Pelchovich was supposed to interview this afternoon, but had a conflict. As such, if you were originally posted to him, you'll interview with one of our research assistants, but he's certainly an excellent addition to the faculty. So I just wanted to thank you all again for taking the opportunity and time to interview with us today. Dr. Wagner is going to go into depth a little bit more about our program. And then before we start interviews, I'll go over the structure of interviews and what to expect for the day. My contact information is at the bottom of the screen. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or concerns. And yet again, we just want to thank you all for taking the opportunity to interview us with us here today at Emory. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Eric Wagner.
Thank you, Gottschalk. This is awesome. And so hopefully you guys are getting a sense. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And Gottschalk, can you make sure, Gottschalk, can you see this? Gottschalk.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I was giving you a thumbs up sign. I don't know if you can see it, but I really
no, I can't. So thank you very much. So the purpose of this next part is, so Dr. Bowden gave you a nice overview of not only all the facilities that were available, but the sports coverage, how many sports athletes that we see at the various Emory practices, and you'll cover a variety of sports injuries, but also kind of a broad overview. Dr. Gottschalk also kind of did a really, really nice job, as you can see, of kind of giving you an overview of what our fellowship is, what it's about. I'm going to give you a little bit more detail in some of the things that I think make us unique, go into a little bit more detail about what you'd expect when you come here, and hopefully answer some questions that either the website or others did not cover. So when you think about what makes us unique and potentially differentiates us amongst other hand fellowships, we tried to sort of explain this in detail on this website, as Dr. Gottschalk mentioned. I would implore that you look into this. We also have other sites. We have social media for those that you're on it, the Emory Upper Extremity Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Those fellows that do come here, we will implore you to help to contribute to this. We like to sort of really highlight both the people working here as well as a lot of the research and kind of cool surgical technique videos that we do. And on that surgical techniques, we just started this Emory Upper Extremity YouTube and are going to try to build it into a really nice resource to publish a variety of different educational types of videos, mainly surgical technique videos. My partners and I have over 200 4K quality GoPro recorded surgical technique videos that we edit and submit to various conferences and have posted at various technique articles. And our hope is to sort of consolidate a lot of this onto this YouTube channel over a period of time. Nonetheless, as Gaja kind of mentioned, the 3 tiers that we sort of aim to focus on and aim to really differentiate ourselves as fellowship training, one of the premier fellowship training places in the country, are from a clinical standpoint, from a research standpoint, from an education standpoint. And so I want to highlight a couple things that I think do make us a bit unique in each of these areas, and then talk to you a little bit about the city of Atlanta. So from a clinical standpoint, in general, you're going to learn how to do hand surgery, and you might have fairly high volume at a variety of places doing relatively easy, simple bread and butter hand cases. Our hope is not only for you to advance along your own learning curve with the standard hand surgery cases, but we also hope that you will have a large enough and a wide variety enough of experience with some of the more complex cases to really get along that learning curve and allow you to take on some of the most challenging cases in your practice. We are, as a fellowship group, as a division, our goal is to train subspecialty experts. So competent hand surgeons, but also those that are not afraid of innovating, that are not afraid of taking on some of the more challenging cases as a subspecialist. And our hope is to help you to establish a foundation within your hand surgery fellowship to allow you to become these subspecialty experts. So for example, small joint arthroscopy or arthroplasty is something that maybe not everybody's exposed to at a super high volume. We, at the beginning of fellowship, as Gotchard mentioned, we do have the 1 week arthroscopy course that we block off your clinical duties for. We also have a fairly high clinical volume of this. And whether it's from CMC interposition arthroplasty or arthroplasties done arthroscopically to arthroscopic TFCC repairs, arthroscopic volar and dorsal ganglion excisions, arthroscopic scapholunate repairs, and even one of my more favorite ones, the arthroscopic proximal carbectomy. You'll be exposed to a high volume and relatively complex level of small joint arthroscopy, and hopefully by the time you leave here, will be very comfortable with the scope. Small joint arthroplasty is another one that's, I think, important and is really growing within our field. So whether it's total wrist arthroplasty for either traumatic or rheumatoid etiologies, MCP arthroplasty, PIP arthroplasty, using a variety of different types of implants, silicone, pyrocarbon. You'll get exposed to a variety of different methodologies for treating some of these patients with arthritis or post-traumatic issues, as well as different techniques to approach these small joint replacements. Trauma is one of maybe the strengths of this fellowship. So with the Grady Trauma, as you've heard, it's one of the busiest trauma centers. You have a huge number of both replantation, mangled extremity, novel ways of taking care of some of these dysvascular limbs or these mangled extremity. And you're gonna see everything that sort of comes with upper extremity trauma and learn a lot of the principles with this. At Grady, we cover from the elbow down to the fingertip. And like I said, our dysvascular or replantation, revascularization volume, can be up to 4 or 5 in a weekend, but in general is one of the busier practices around the country. One of the other areas that we're really proud of that has grown a lot and has seen really exponential growth in recent is the both brachial plexus and microsurgery experience. So at the very beginning of the fellowship, you'll go to the Mayo micro course. And this is in addition to the Emory flap course during that first week of your fellowship. Then during your actual time from a clinical standpoint, you'll be exposed to various brachial plexus cases with Dr. Lozinski at Grady as she's developing and has developed one of the busier brachial plexus practices around. Dr. Pelchovich also at CHOA has a very busy both brachial plexus, particularly absector brachial plexus, but also some adult cases, as well as peripheral nerve reconstruction. And then finally the flaps with multiple of our plastics faculties. Dr. Grieve, Dr. Noss, Dr. Feng, and Dr. Zimpi all specialize in nerve reconstruction as well as free tissue transfer, whether you're talking about free bone transfer or free soft tissue transfer. And then shoulder and elbow is another kind of distinguishing factor. And those of you who are interested in it will have a really in-depth and potentially unique exposure to this. So we have one of the highest volumes overall for probably any hand upper extremity center with regards to shoulder and elbow. You'll see everything from some of the complex muscle transfers. So this is instead of for soft tissue coverage, you're actually doing it from a functional reconstruction after paralysis, whether you're talking about pec for serratus, triple transfer trapezius paralysis, pedicle pec for paralyzed deltoid, or different transfers for rotator cuff pathologies. You'll have both elbow and shoulder arthroplasty, and you'll see the whole gamut of our busy sort of shoulder and elbow arthroplasty practices from primary to revision to things like allograft prosthetic composites, as you can see on the right. And then you'll see an advanced arthroscopy, whether it's elbow arthroscopy or advanced shoulder arthroscopy, lower trapezius transfers, or brachial plexus neurolysis for thoracic outlet syndrome. You'll see a really comprehensive shoulder and elbow experience, and not just sort of dabbling in this, but truly innovating in this area, more so than I think even a lot of shoulder and elbow fellowships have. Those that are interested in unusual pathologies, you're going to see a lot of these between Grady, between Emory being the main referral center for the entire South. You're going to see tons of different types of unusual pathologies, ones that you're probably going to very rarely see even in your practice, but you'll be exposed and be able to take care of almost any of this stuff. And given the diverse faculty that we have as the core of this, you're going to see a wide diversity of preferences and techniques taking care of potentially very similar pathologies. That's the beauty of these education events that we have up between our Monday evenings and our Wednesday mornings, as well as multiple other sort of weekly and monthly educational events that we have set up. So it really exposes you to this wide diversity of surgical techniques. The rotations, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this. Dr. Gottschalk already went through a lot of the details, but it's basically designed to help create subspecialists. There's a flexibility on the Emory side, depending on your interest in shoulder versus flaps versus brachial plexus versus congenital. There's also one of my favorite parts of this is this international elective. So the international elective, I did part of this during one of my fellowships. We have partnered with multiple experts basically around the world who have subspecialty interests in a variety of different things within upper extremity surgery. Anybody who's not on our list on our website, you feel if a fellow really strongly wants to go someplace, all it takes is us to reach out and most likely they'll accept it. But nonetheless, you can see on this list, a lot of these experts who are really the thought leaders from around the world on a variety of subspecialty interests. So we will pay for you for 1 month to go to any of these places, learn, create some connections, and hopefully bring back to us, teach us some cool things that they're doing. So from a research standpoint, and this, once again, is maybe one of the strengths of this fellowship, in addition to sort of the clinical diversity and depth. So my goal, or our goal as as mentors for you in your upcoming fellowship, is to give you a strong foundation both clinically and from a research standpoint. And this clinical foundation from a research standpoint can hopefully help you catapult you throughout the rest of your career. So we have a commitment to scientific investigation. We have 4 research fellows, a CRC, multiple dedicated database engineers, as well as translational scientists that are all involved and help us to carry out a very productive research machine. This last year, to give you some raw numbers, we had 38 peer-reviewed publications, 64 international national presentations, 6 scientific awards. We have 14 ongoing clinical trials at this moment within Emory. So if you can get the sense, there's a lot of research going on. There's a huge machine that's very easy to be part of. As a fellow, we do expect you to be part of this machine. And we hope that it helps you. If you want to do this in the future, you can easily apply this in the future. I'm not going to go into details about some of these projects, but you'll see we were covering basically every aspect of hand and upper extremity surgery with regards to these various projects. Innovation is sort of another important thing. Dr. Sue is one of the classic examples, somebody who's really innovative from a biomechanics standpoint, but this DDR technology is one of the examples of how we're sort of innovating and pushing the envelope, both with regard to diagnosis and ultimate treatment, just trying to push the field forward in a variety of different ways. And finally, from an educational standpoint, and I think this is sort of one of the other unique things, is we've really tried to make this as much about the fellows as possible. So we pay for every fellow to go to the ASSH, starting from the residency fellows course all the way in the pre-courses all the way through the rest of the year. Through the rest of that week. We also will fund you to go to one of the other courses, whether it's AAOS, AAHS, or the plastic surgery meeting. We also expect and hope that you take advantage of some of the industry courses that are offered, as well as a variety of other industry opportunities that when we bring in speakers for Friday evening lectures and Saturday morning labs, we really have a lot of different opportunities to hopefully provide you with a really well-balanced education in all of upper extremity surgery. And then finally, these Monday evening grand rounds has been one of the more fun parts of this. We call it the upper extremity grand rounds. And you can see here, we have a variety of different experts from around the country that we bring in to give talks, to expose the residents to. Most of them are virtual. Some of them we bring in person, but nonetheless, they cover a whole variety of different topics. The fellows can help guide the topics as well as the experts that we bring in. And in general, it's a really fun sort of environment to engage with some of these experts and expose you to a variety of ways of thinking. So here's some objective data about our Hanover Upper Extremity Fellowship. So we have 2 fellows currently, and you can see from a case volume standpoint, they both are doing tons of cases, well more than I personally did in my fellowship. And not only are they doing a lot of cases, they also are doing a very high sort of diversity and complexity of cases. So there's a lot of very kind of complex, involved cases that they've been involved with. They can talk to you a little bit more detail about that during the actual interview itself. You can also see they're participating in the scientific investigation process. They already have somewhere between 4 and 6 manuscripts submitted or accepted. And our goal for them, by the time they're done, to have at least 15, and my hope would be that number even gets closer to 20 publications when they look back on this year. So finally, I'm going to leave you with one last sort of note, and this is about the city of Atlanta. So I'm not from the South. I did not grow up in Atlanta, and nor had I spent a lot of time here before coming here. But I can tell you, I've absolutely fallen in love with the city. It has everything that any other city has, but it's more affordable, and it has this amazing airport where you can fly anywhere basically in the world nonstop. It's the busiest airport in the country, and it's also one of the most efficient ones. Like when you compare it to some of the New York airports or Chicago or LA airports, it is 10 times more efficient. It's really easy to get in and out, and it's really convenient to be able to fly almost anywhere you want to go. It's Atlanta's the largest city in the Southeast, a population of over 5 million. It's growing. It's climbing up the charts of the biggest cities in the country. Has a large number of Fortune 500 countries. It has really storied history, and some really cool film and music scene that's kind of based here, that's centered here. There's multiple professional sports teams, collegiate athletics. The biking and fly fishing is incredible. Just about an hour north of us, we have some great rivers, some great bike paths, lots of hiking. There's golf courses all over the place because the National being close, and public parks everywhere. I mean, they call Atlanta the city in the trees for a reason, and it's because there's so many parks and so much nature and wildlife. And then finally, it's very affordable. But despite being very affordable, there's cool culture with art museums. The Fox Theater has, in my opinion, the best aquarium in the country, also the best botanical garden in the country. It has some amazing restaurants and nightlife, and the traffic where you have to go as a fellow is really not that bad. We also really prioritize this work-life balance, and you'll see that in the website as well. So you have a Q4 call schedule that you and your co-fellow actually make your own call schedule. And then when you're on call, you have a backup attending that helps to sort of to kind of help you, especially early on, kind of come in. In general, though, there's a lot of autonomy with both creating your call schedule and when you're on call, actually doing the call cases. There's also flexibility in the Emory rotation. There's flexibility with your international rotation. We have a fly fishing retreat for those that are interested in fly fishing up in our North Georgia hills. We do SAE brunch on a monthly basis, exploring some of the cool restaurants around Atlanta. And then we have multiple dinners, both with faculty and industry throughout the year. And the industry, it's like a Friday night dinner, Saturday morning type of lab. So I'd like to thank you for your time. This is my email, this is my cell phone. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I realize that we wish this could have been in person. We would have loved for this to be in person. That being said, since it's not, we're trying to do the best we can to show you everything that's a part of this fellowship, explain it to you. And then we even have some socials after this where we're going to have some even closer, more personal time with Gottschalk, Zelensky, and Sue and I to answer any questions you might have and really get to know kind of what we've created here and the culture that we have established and are going to continue going forward. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my partner, Nina Sue. So we are really, really lucky to have her. We recruited her down from London, Ontario. She, as Dr. Gottschalk mentioned, she is an expert in upper extremity arthroscopy, biomechanics, and a really, really nice addition that we cannot be more excited about having join us. And I think she's going to add she is already adding a really cool dimension to this division, to this fellowship.
Thank you. Okay, so as Dr. Wagner mentioned, I'm just going to start off by first saying congratulations to everybody. We had the privilege of going through your CVs, and you are an extremely well-educated group, very productive, both clinically as well as research-wise. And I'd like to congratulate you on getting towards this next stage in your career. And we're so happy that you came to come check out Emory. So just a little bit about me. Dr. Gottschalk, as well as Dr. Wagner, has already gone over about some of the specifics and the logistics. So for me, I'm Canadian, but really I wanted to highlight that I have done 2 fellowships. First, I did the HSS fellowship, and then the second fellowship was the Mayo Clinic. So I understand how important this decision is for you and how much it affects your career going forward. So I thought my talk would be more about like, what are the important features that you should be looking into a fellowship, as well as more specifically what I think makes Emory unique. So I think the critical considerations when I think back about when I was considering which fellowships to go to was, first is during the fellowship to choose a fellowship that's really invested in you as a surgeon and your career development, because at the end of the day, this year is about your learning and rounding out your education. So you want to make sure that you have a program that's invested in showing you all the cases that you need to, giving you the research opportunities, as well as the networking opportunities, particularly if you're interested in academia. Those networking opportunities are very important, and having access to thought leaders, because one day you will be a thought leader as well. So I think in that regard, Emory is extremely invested in your success. We want you to succeed, because if you succeed, we succeed as well. And we think of ourselves as a family. And that really leads into my second point, is that you want to choose a fellowship that cares about you after you leave your fellowship. And Emory, we really consider you part of our fellowship family. We don't want you after the fellowship just to disappear and we never hear from you again. We want to continue keeping in contact, and we want you to also engage with the other fellows that will be going through the program. We're young, but as the fellowship grows, we want all of our fellows to know each other, as well as to continue to keep in contact with us. So I think Emory is unique in that regard, is that we really are very invested during your fellowship, but also afterwards. And really, I wanted to make this nice and short. So this is my contact information, my email, as well as my cell phone number. If you have any specific questions, or if you want to come to the socials after, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And then I think Dr. Gottschalk has the instructions for the day.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Sue and Dr. Wagner. And yet again, thank you everyone for joining us today. I think we all realize you all are a fantastic group of applicants and have several options of where to interview and where to go. So we're both humbled and appreciative that you took the time and day to spend with us. A couple things, just kind of administrative work. One, I'd like to thank Kaylin for really helping out with today as far as making this nice and smooth and organizing. There's a lot of behind the scenes work and she's our program coordinator. So very appreciative for that. As you'll see, our interviews are going to start very promptly at 1:40. We adhere to time. We obviously value your time and ours. So we're going to adhere to the schedule almost to the T. So at 1:40 p.m. we'll start. You'll notice that there's 4 groups. So there's a group A, group B, group C, and group D. The first groups, group A and B, will have interviews with all the faculty and staff. And they're technically about 10 minutes. So maybe 9 minutes of interview with 1 minute of shifting. Kaylin will assign you to a room for the group A and group B candidates, and you will stay put. The faculty will move around you and make sure that they move, so that way you don't have to worry about where you're going and what you're doing, okay? Group C and group D during this time frame, you're actually going to be with our current fellows, Dr. Ahmed and Dr. Graf, and they're gonna go through all the various cases they've done. They'll probably answer any question that you can think of, to what type of sweater I wear every day, to what type of cases you'll get to see. Essentially, long story short, is they'll go over all the frequently asked questions for you and hopefully get into some depth of the nitty gritty of things that you want to know. The idea is that this is time away from any of the attendings. So essentially, you should ask any question that you want answered, no matter how, things that you may not want us to hear is just perfectly fine. And then eventually at the end, we'll switch, right? So right around the midway point, essentially group A and group B will go spend time with our current fellows, get to know them and what's about, and then we will interview the group C and group D candidates. There's a short break in between for about 20 minutes. The idea is that way you can get up, use the restroom, get a glass of water, something to eat, things of that nature. And then around 4 o'clock, we will conclude. There are no formal closing remarks. So once you have finished your last interview, you are free to go. However, I would strongly encourage you, at least the group A and group B folks, to stay and hear what our fellows have to say and get to know them and get to know our program as well. And then last but not least, you will get an email from us within the next few days to sign up for kind of what I call our evening socials, which is just an hour of time on a weekday later in the evening where you can have a beer, a glass of wine, or whatever cocktail or water that you like, a little bit less stressed down, shirt and jeans, and get to see our banter, some of the stuff that we like to talk about and what we're about. So yet again, thank you all for joining us today. And with that, I don't know if Dr. Wagner, Dr. if you have anything else to add. Otherwise, we'll give you guys a few minutes to prepare, and then we'll start promptly at 1:40.
Thanks, everyone. Look forward to it.
Okay.